No medication, no surgery, just good sound sleep. Mend your sleep so you can stop counting sheep. Experience restorative sleep at AccuSleep, the acupuncture sleep clinic in Ocala by calling 352-615-5566.
Thank you. 23 minutes before 8 o'clock. If you are a veteran, thank you so much for your service. Today is the day that we as a country remember the sacrifices, the commitment, the gift that you gave all of us by deciding to serve all of us in a way that might have ended your life and in many ways ended much of what was once your life. I know a lot of you are living with wounds and other things that happen as a result of serving us. And so anyway, we thank all of you, and that's what today is about, right? We've got a lot of stuff happening. Rob is going to tell you some of the things happening around town, and that way you can prepare and do some of those things. And I guess we'll just start with that, Robin. What kind of things? I know we have something at the park, right?
Yeah, that's all we have today. That's all I have today. A lot of the veterans events were yesterday, like the Kingdom of the Sun concert band, all of that. But the only thing that I know of that's going on today is at the Marion County Veterans Park that you had in your news. There will be a presentation of colors today. There are going to be over 1,000 Marion County Public School students there, letting all of their veterans know how much they care. And if they don't know really about Veterans Day because of their ages, they're going to learn today. So it's going to be a fabulous event. And they're all going to be bussed in because they all went to their schools today, so they're not going to be dropped off by their parents or anything. It's an organized effort by Dr. Heidi Mayer, and it just is a wonderful event every year involving the students.
So the information I have, I hope I don't have it wrong, but it says here that in Gainesville at the Phillips Center for the Performing Arts, there's something happening tonight.
Oh, wonderful. I heard your news, and you've got a lot of good things that are going on.
In Gainesville, the 15th Annual Musical Salute Veterans Day Concert will be held at the Phillips Center for the Performing Arts from 7 till 9 as a tribute to veterans. It says admission is free with the donation of a non-perishable food item. That goes to a program called Food for Kids Backpack Program.
Nice.
If you've never been to the Phillips Center, you will not regret it. It's a beautiful facility, and I'm sure they'll put on a wonderful show. That's this evening from 7 till 9. Also, the Florida Museum of Natural History, which is in the same park, you don't even need to drive.
No.
If you're going to that event, before that event, you can go to the museum. I think the museum is always free, right?
Yes.
So okay, it says the museum is free, but I think what they're trying to say is that there's two exhibits that you do have to pay for at the museum. It's the butterfly rainforest and the croc exhibit.
That's right.
Crocodiles? And,
I don't know.
and so those are free for veterans today also. So I think as the museum is always free, the Museum of Natural History, which, by the way, if you've never gone, it's really cool.
It is amazing.
But the butterfly rainforest and the crocs exhibit are also free. And that's from 10 a.m. this morning till 4:30 p.m. So if you plan on going to the Phillips Center for the Performing Arts in Gainesville for the tribute to veterans, that starts at 7. So, you could go to the museum, and that thing closes at 4:30. Then you got to, 4:35, 2.5 hours you got to kill. So
yeah, well, there are plenty of
go get some
eateries
food.
around
Yeah.
that area. I
That's
mean,
what I would
you
do.
don't have to go far to get a snack in Gainesville. They're all over the place. It's wonderful.
And I do have some others. Let's see.
See, I didn't receive anything about today, just what happened all this weekend. Like the Gainesville Community Band played yesterday up in Gainesville for their veterans concert on
your
the lawn.
brother was part of that?
Yep. He's a percussionist. You can't have play marches without a drummer.
No,
let me
you
tell
can't.
ya.
Kanapaha Veterans Memorial Park is having a celebration today, too. I'm not sure where that is, but it's anyway. So if you know where Kanapaha, it must be at Kanapaha Gardens, huh?
Yeah, well, we were there. We took photographs and stuff there.
And that's Gainesville, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You get off at the Newberry Road exit where the Oaks Mall is. You go west, and Kanapaha is about 3 miles on your right, and it is absolutely outstanding. The gardens are amazing, and they've got a lot of docents there to tell you about the history, take you on tours. It is a wonderful, wonderful place.
Lake City is kind of a bit of a drive. They're having a Veterans Day parade today, but if you're heading up that way, you might want to take that in. The theme parks, I don't have anything for Disney. I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but they didn't send anything, which is unusual. Neither did Universal, so the two biggies didn't send me anything. But Daytona Lagoon has an all-day play pass for all active and retired military today.
Nice.
Which doesn't say like all veterans. That's kind of weird. Maybe that's just a misprint.
Well,
I'm sorry?
Well, the state parks, the Silver Spring State Park, Rainbow Springs State Park, all of the state parks in Florida, it's free admission for everyone today, not just veterans.
That's true. Thank you. Thought I had time to drink my coffee. You were too quick.
Oh, sorry. I was slow down.
Let's see. I think I have some other ones. What's the thing in Margaritaville? Island H2O Live in Margaritaville Resort is offering veterans and active military free admission. Veterans, active duty, retired, and reserve military members can get free admission to the Kennedy Space Center, which, by the way, there's a rocket going up today. And there's also a thing with Mercury passing in front of the sun today, which...
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to be interviewing Dr. Elisa Quintana. She's an astrophysicist with NASA. And Mercury's journey across the sun today, it only occurs at only 13 times per century.
By the way,
it's pretty amazing.
Astronauts are considered veterans, just so you know.
Well, I hope so.
But do they have a song? They don't have a song.
Oh, we should make an astronaut song. There we go. That's your...
Maybe they do.
That's your...
Well, the Space Force. That would be part of the Space Force. We don't have a song for them yet.
Oh, right. So now we're going to... A new branch, new military.
Veterans can also get in free to Legoland, and this one actually runs through November 25th. So then there might be some others. Up in New York, there's a parade. Let's see. The parade goes up Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue is a street for parades up there,
okay.
Isn't it? Anyway, this one starts down at Madison Square. Madison Square Park. I almost said Madison Square Garden.
Oh, where is that?
Down by the...
Madison Square
Oh,
Park.
you know, the Flatiron Building. Down by that area.
Okay. All right. Now
So they'll be walking up. Now, this is probably going to be on TV, at least some of it. Mm-hmm. There's the Eternal Flame that the president is going to be participating in an event over there. 25,000 supporters will be cheering on a procession of active officers, ROTC members, marching bands, and memorial floats. I actually have a soundbite.
Oh, nice.
From NBC, I think this is from, regarding the president being in New York for this event. Here it is, I think. Is this it? Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, my gosh. I thought this was fixed. Okay, come on.
Yeah, you know.
Come on.
On Monday morning, you might just want to avoid this area north of the Flatiron Building. That's because the president will be here for a ceremony that starts at 10:30 inside the park for Veterans Day. The next two events, we don't think he's going to be attending those. That's the actual wreath laying a little bit closer to the Flatiron Building and then the parade up Fifth Avenue. But regardless, it's going to be awfully hectic. The mayor says an open-air setting with the president in the heart of Manhattan isn't easy. But police say they've planned well, and they're not worried at all. He was here just last weekend, and it went fine.
As you know, we just got the president through New York City on the same day as a New York City marathon and managed to work the routes and all that. So I think we're going to be able to take it in stride.
Now, last year, the president did not do much for Veterans Day, but he's making up for it this year. He's actually going to stay in the city, we understand, a couple of days. He will stay over until Tuesday because he then, on Tuesday, has a major economic speech in the city.
There you go. So there's that if you're interested. And I'm sure all over the country we have things. Just that the president happens to be in New York today, and I guess he's the first president to attend the Veterans Day ceremony in New York City.
Oh my!
I think I heard them say that earlier.
Gosh! Wow.
I don't want to mess anything up. You know what I want to do? Can I do this?
Well, you can do whatever you want.
That's true.
You're
Military
buttons.
musical salute, and Jim Penna. They didn't in this salute include the Song of the Seabees. But I know how much this means to you, and I found it, and I hope it's a good version. But here's the military musical salute with a tag from the Song of the Seabees. Okay?
Nice.
Just enjoy music. This is going to be a musical moment here. Okay?
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, cows are marching all about, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high, in the field artillery. Count out the numbers of the strong. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And wherever you go, you will always know that those caissons go rolling along. Anchors aweigh
All right, there. That was our musical tribute to say thank you to all of our veterans out there on this Veterans Day, and I do not know the names of the bands that I just played there. I didn't write it down, but anyway, thank you, veterans, for your service. And anybody who wants anything repeated regarding some of the events going on, whether they're in Ocala or some of the other areas that we have, we are here. If you need to call us, we'll be glad to repeat that for you.
Well, you found some cool events going on today, so thank you for that. You really found a lot of cool events.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Happy Vets Day, you guys.
Hey, how you doing, Hugh?
Good. I want to thank you for the music. It worked out so good. I got my little transistor radio. I put it on, put it in my pocket, went out there, put the flag up. And as I was putting the flag up, the neighbor drove by, rolled his window down, and saluted me.
Nice.
What happened now? I missed that. Say it again?
You had the music on, and I put the music on my little transistor radio, put it in my pocket, and I went out in the front yard, and I put the flag up on the pole.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The neighbor drove by, rolled his window down, and saluted us.
Well,
Nice.
That's nice. I appreciate you telling us that. Thank you for that.
That was a wonderful thing how to start the day out, and I'm really looking forward to all the events going on. And God bless our soldiers, and God bless America.
Yeah, and thank you. Thank you so much, Hugh, for always contributing to the show. You're our go-to guy when we have questions about the flag, so thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you. That was nice.
And last night, of course, the Kingdom of the Sun concert band, they had their concert last night, and for their annual Veterans Day concert, and they're absolutely outstanding. And all of their members are volunteer, from teenagers through people in their 90s. They're experts at what they do. They love to play. And Les Muncaster is a veteran. Thank you for your service. And the Kingdom of the Sun concert band is always here for our community. No admission charge ever, and they're all volunteers. So God bless you.
And as Robin mentioned earlier, the governor of Florida has made all state parks free for everybody as a way to thank veterans for their service. So if you get a chance, we got 2 beautiful ones right in our county. Right? Do we have more than 2? We have Silver Springs State Park, and we have Rainbow Springs State Park, and might be another one, not so sure. But if you have not gone to Florida State Parks, today is a good day to go to them. And if you go to Silver Springs, go to the other side, the side that was the state park before the attraction half of it was added to it, because the other half. The Ocala Country Days is not today. That was yesterday and Saturday.
Yeah.
But you still can see the old schoolhouse and the buildings that were there, and then they're put there as an educational thing for the kids, because the schools bring the kids out there to teach them about our background. Yesterday we went, and it was very, very busy because of Ocala Country Days. And
Right.
It was just so enjoyable. I mean, just so nice to be there, and always have some decadent food out there.
And the Silver River Museum is there, and that's a really beautiful museum in our area to go to.
But yesterday,
Wonderful.
we had witnessed not a Civil War reenactment, but rather a Civil War artillery demonstration.
Yeah, that was amazing.
For both the military arms, the rifles, the cannons, etc., that both the North and the South used. And it was interesting to hear the gentleman giving the presentation say that the Civil War is considered the last war of the Napoleonic era and the first war of the new era, because weapons from old in that day and weapons that were about to emerge as the newer weapons were both used in that war. And we've heard this many times before, that the Civil War was one of the bloodiest wars ever, right? And those young men who died in the Civil War, both sides are, I know that this is controversial, but just think about this for a second. They were all veterans. They were all doing what their country was asking them to do. And so that's why I have no problem with the Johnny Reb statue. I might have some problem with some leaders of the Confederacy being memorialized. I know you and I disagree about that a little bit, But as far as the veteran himself, the person, the young man who had no say-so in it, was just said, this is what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, those guys, I definitely think, they gave their lives for, and sacrificed for something they probably would have rather been home just trying to raise money for their families or food for their families.
Work their farm or something like that, sure.
All right, let's see.
God bless America.
Let's go through. You want to go through? Instead of the news, let's do some of this stuff.
Where are we going?
I got some cool stuff. Well,
I thought you were going to flip the switch and we were going to leave for a while.
Nah.
To do cool stuff.
Nah,
Okay.
I've thought about that sometimes, but not today. There are about 23.2 million veterans in this country. 23.2 million.
My gosh.
So when you stand and salute for all of them, men and women. Thank you for your service. 9.2 million veterans are over the age of 65. 1.9 million veterans are under the age of 35. 1.8 million veterans are women. 7.8 million veterans served during the Vietnam War. That's about 33% of all living veterans, by the way. Joe Martone is one of them, just so you know.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe, for your service, of course.
Galen Unold.
Galen Unold served, during the Gulf War?
Yes,
I think?
that's right.
5.2 million veterans served during the Gulf War.
Gosh.
2.6 million veterans served during World War II. 2.8 million veterans served during the Korean War. 6 million veterans served in peacetime. Let's see. Five states have more than 1 million veterans in among their population. Those include Florida with 1.7 million. California has 2.1 million. That is making Florida the second most veteran populated state, I guess you would say, in the country. So there you go. So those are some of the statistics. Sorry.
Gosh, I love those statistics.
As you know, this was originally called Armistice Day. In 1954, President Eisenhower officially changed the name of the holiday to Veterans Day. So, all right, we will take a little break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to The Source, WOCA. I'm trying to get the music on at the same time.
Okay.
Just takes a while. Thank you, veterans, for your service. We'll take us to the news with the Star Spangled Banner, assuming the computer wants to. There we go. We'll be right back.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. With televised impeachment hearings starting Wednesday, House Republicans plan to call their own witnesses for the inquiry.
Democrats are already indicating they will not approve most of those individuals to testify, specifically the whistleblower, Hunter Biden and his business partner Devin Archer, Nellie Orr, who worked on the now infamous Trump dossier for Fusion GPS, and Alexandra Chalupa, a former Democratic National Committee staffer.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in D.C. It's Veterans Day. President Trump will speak at the annual parade in New York City, marking its 100th anniversary. Hong Kong's Mayor Carrie Lam says anti-government protests there will be brought to an end. Police have shot at protesters today, with at least one reported to be in critical condition. So is another man who was set on fire. The protests over Chinese rule in Hong Kong started 5 months ago. America's listening to Fox News.
Filling an opening at your company means more than just finding an employee. You're looking for a fit, a match. Robert Half understands that. We know you need someone who can do the work, someone who complements your culture. And of course, you need that someone fast. When it all comes together, it makes for a perfect fit. Satisfaction guaranteed. Robert Half, the matching experts in accounting, finance, IT, legal, marketing, and administrative staffing. Visit roberthalf.com for more information.
Pros like you rely on trusted brands like DeWalt every day. And you can count on Lowe's to have more DeWalt tools stocked in our stores than anywhere else. Stop in today and save $320 on a DeWalt 20-volt max 10-tool combo kit, now just $529. The kit includes a drill, impact driver, angle grinder, recip saw, batteries, charger, and more. And get your choice of a DeWalt 20-volt max cordless brushless drill or a DeWalt 2-pack of 20-volt power tool batteries, each just $99. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Combo kit offer valid through 11/17. Your choice offer valid through 11/24. U.S. only.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. Today is Veterans Day. A Veterans Day celebration will take place from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Ocala, Marion County Veterans Memorial Park. Also in Gainesville, the 15th annual musical Salute Veterans Day concert will be held at the Phillips Center for the Performing Arts from 7 till 9 tonight. Also, Silver Springs State Park is offering free admission all day. The Lake County Sheriff's Office's ability to execute immigration warrants will only be used in the jail for the purpose of ICE detainment. A Nevada man has been sentenced in South Florida to 120 days of home confinement and ordered to pay a $7,000 fine for trafficking an endangered Galapagos tortoise. A Collier County man has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for a fatal drunken driving crash. And a Florida man is awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty to threatening to blow up government offices across North Florida. To our veterans, from all of us here at WOCA, thank you for your service. We stand and salute you. And that is your news brief from The Source.
Partly sunny and warm on this Monday, Veterans Day. There can be a shower in spots along the coast this morning, the high 80 to 84. Then partly cloudy Monday night, maybe a shower along the coast, low 60, inland 66 along the coast. For Tuesday, a nice day with clouds and sunshine, still warm, high 80 to 84. Wednesday, breezy and cooler with clouds and some intervals of sun. There can be a shower or two along the coast, the high just 62 to 72. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
What's hot in this week's big colorful ad for Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens? Well, just about everything. Take a listen. There's a once-a-year red tag sale on trees. It means you get the best shade trees, citrus trees, ornamental trees that Bob Wines has to offer at 50 to 75% off. Plus, each time you buy one tree, you get a second one just like it for half price. How about that? The camellias are blooming, and that means you can join the camellia crowd with Bob Wine's famous heirloom camellias for as little as $9.99. Also, check out the truckload sale on azaleas. Take your pick. Dwarf, ever blooming, all the way up to big azaleas. They're priced as low as $3.99. Check the ad at bobwinescamelliagardens.net. They've got all this week's specials. Bob Wines, Southeast 38th Street, daily till 4, Saturdays till 3, in the same blooming place since 1952.
Two Men in a Truck believes every veteran should be recognized on Veterans Day. That's why Movers for Military is teaming up with WOCA to collect essential items to be delivered this Veterans Day to veterans being assisted by Veterans Helping Veterans USA. To donate items, drop them off at the WOCA studios Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. to help in aiding veterans and their families in crisis. This announcement has been brought to you by your friends at WOCA News Talk, The Source.
All right, 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. Beautiful. Oh, my gosh, what a beautiful day today is, really. You know, the temperatures look like they're going to be really nice today. There's kind of like no mention of rain in the forecast. I say kind of because the real forecast says 5% chance, but that's not till 8 p.m. tonight. So you might as well just say it's going to be a beautiful day. 80 degrees is the expected high today. What is it right now? It's 58 right now. And the temperature it is right now is what's expected to be the overnight low tonight. Okay, so kind of staying cool for today. Tomorrow is some rain moving in. So, gosh, let me see what it says here. Not much, about a 40% chance we'll see some rain. But the important thing about tomorrow's rain is not the rain, but it's the front that's bringing it in. How about this for an amateur weatherman, huh?
Gosh.
So 81 is the high tomorrow, but look at this. 45 is the low for tomorrow night. So that's the cold front, and apparently we're like right at the edge. If you look at the weather map that the professionals actually put together, north of us it gets really cold, like freezing, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, I think the parade probably in New York they're going to be freezing today.
I think so.
Right? It goes from what did I say? Madison Square Park. What's that, like 23rd Street?
I don't know.
And I think it goes 23 blocks or so 46th Street. Anyway, the president's going to be there, so that's why it's in the news, I guess. 45 degrees tonight, 63 tomorrow, and looks just like a beautiful day, and lots of stuff happening around town. Well, not really. Around the area. There's one thing happening around town. Most of the stuff that happened for Veterans Day was yesterday in our area, right?
Right, exactly.
But today there is a big deal happening over at the Veterans Park.
Yeah, that's the huge one. Huge one for Marion County, today.
And Galen Uniold is on the phone. We always like to mention and thank Galen for his service. He served in the Navy. And good morning, Galen. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Larry, Robin. How are y'all?
Good. Is it a big special day for you on Veterans Day?
No. No, it's weird. I think anybody who served and, I served during the first Gulf War, but, nobody I served with died in action or anything like that. It's a good day because I think it really makes everybody think about what our freedom costs.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's a good day for movies.
And
I'm also one of those veterans that's really glad that there's school so that they can learn about it, and they'll go down and do the whole thing at the Veterans Park, and I think that's great. I really do. I think that's a great opportunity.
The one thing you said that separates veterans from non-veterans is an interesting thing because pretty much across the board, all non-veterans really, really thank you and the other veterans for your service. And almost all veterans are very humble about it and really almost are shy to get that thanks. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird that there's but it's a very healthy divide. I mean, to me, it seems like it's a good thing. It's a good thing that everybody feels the way they feel. And again, I know there are some knuckleheads that don't, but for the most part, I think Americans are grateful for what you have given us, Galen, and continue. This is the one thing I noticed about veterans. We do the Veterans Show for now 15 years or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I've known a lot of those guys because of that show and because of our connection with Vets Helping Vets. And they're all involved in something now. It's not just then, not that they're out of. My nephew's a good example of that. He's working for the fire department.
Exactly.
That's still serving us, right? Not like me, just talking on the radio.
No, you're serving us in a different capacity.
I wasn't looking for that.
I know, but I'm just saying you're a public servant. But, all of our law enforcement and the fire and the EMTs and everything, gosh, you guys always go above and beyond.
Anyways.
God bless you.
What you said some movies, right?
Yeah, that said, today is about the people who went into the armed service. So,
right.
And I do think there is a difference. I mean, the armed services is a 4-year stint, and when you're an EMT or a paramedic or a police officer, you're doing that for your life, and I do think it's different, even though you can be in the career military, obviously. But I think it's just it's uniquely different.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're both vital.
Yeah, they're both vital. And in the case of fire and police, you also are putting your life on the line, or at least willing to. And that statement is true for every branch of the military, no matter what branch you joined. And P.S., that's all we have today is volunteers. There's nobody drafted anymore, right?
That's correct.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, hey, you mentioned movies. Have you heard about the new Midway movie?
Yes.
Well, and have you seen a trailer for it at all?
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Yeah, a buddy of mine said it wasn't good.
It was not good.
He said just stick to the original. But that's one person's view.
So accuracy historically, do you know if it's historically accurate?
I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. I'm assuming it is. They're saying it is. Midway had the whole story about the guy's girlfriend getting sent to an internment camp and stuff like that. But that's part of making a movie.
When did the old one come out?
So,
How long?
Oh gosh, 60s?
I think the early 60s. John Wayne was in there, and all Henry Fonda, all the heavy hitters. But it was to a Japanese internment camp in the United States. She was sent to because they rounded up all the Japanese. So
is that part of this story too?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Seen the movie.
Okay. So I think we did this a lot on Veterans Day in the past, but the other movies that come to mind are movies like Saving Private Ryan, etc. Those kind of movies. Is that what you mean when you say there's some good movies out there?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Do you have to work today?
I was, but I just feel terrible. I got a cold.
Okay.
I can't shake this thing. I've had it for like 2 weeks.
I think Robin noticed your cold when she was listening to you on Friday night.
Yeah.
Oh, we sounded terrible too.
You did?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh, I don't think you sounded...
I left a cord, the all-important cord from the JK box to my phone, which without it, you cannot have a broadcast. I left it in the coach's office on Friday, and we basically spoke into my phone on the landline. It was terrible. I apologize.
But it was an exciting game, and you guys,
No, it was a terrible game. It was a terrible football game.
But they won.
Funny the different opinions.
Vanguard won. They shut them out.
It was a terrible football
to 0.
game. It was incredibly boring.
Oh.
Because they kept winning.
That was the only saving grace, is that there was nothing redeemable about. I mean, Vanguard looked great. The other team was just outmatched, but it was a terrible game.
So you talked about the penalties last week that Vanguard always racks up. Did they rack up a lot of penalties this game?
Yes, they did. But it didn't matter because this team's terrible.
So who do they play this Friday?
North Marion. This is going to be a fun game right here. So they going to have it at Booster because North Marion beat Dunellen in a bit of a shocker, and it'll be North Marion against Dunellen. And North Marion is on a roll. They went to Columbia, beat Columbia, and I don't think there are many people outside of a diehard North Marion fan that thought they could win that game. And then they went to Dunellen and won that game. So North Marion's on a bit of a roll, kind of how they were last year when they went to the state championship. So it should be, this Friday is going to be one of those games that people will talk about for a very, very, very long time.
So is this the last game then? If Vanguard beats North Marion, this will be the last?
No.
Oh.
No, it's the playoffs. So you play until they lose or they win a state title.
Oh, okay, excellent. Well, we're behind both schools. They're in our community, so I know they'll both do their best.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's hard. It's hard. You don't want to root for one. I mean, these are people in our community, right?
Yeah, I've coached kids on both sides on both teams, so it's always fun to watch those two. And they're separated by about 8 miles. These kids grew up playing with each other and against each other their whole lives, and the parents have. It will be a sold out crowd at Booster Stadium. There'll be 5,000 people there, something like that, 4,000 people there.
Wow.
At Booster.
That's
but
amazing.
We still can't afford a scoreboard. It's sad.
Oh, no.
The city council's got to do something about that.
Yeah.
It's sad. Those facilities are terrible.
Well, the city should work with Marion County because they're Marion County public schools that play on that field.
You would think.
So the county and the city would get together.
That's correct.
For our
think
students.
They would.
So again, for Veterans Day, I'd like to bring your two worlds together. When you're coaching kids, more so than when you're doing play-by-play, but when you're actually on the field with them, I'm sure that at that point in their school career, they are thinking about joining the military. Do they ever entrust their concerns with you? I mean, do you ever have a talk with them about what it's like to be in the Navy, for example?
Oh, absolutely. If they ask, I think most of them have no idea that I was ever in the Navy. But when I hear that they are, I try to tell them about it as much as I can. And I always start with, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. So, and I just to share the experience, and then once they sign, if they do sign, then I just say, look, it's going to be whatever you make it. if you go in there with the right attitude, it'll be a phenomenal time. If you go in there with a bad attitude, it's going to be the worst 4 years of your life. And that's all of life. So what your attitude dictates just about everything. So that's what I tell them, and make the most of it, because you're going to get once in a lifetime opportunities and be a part of things that are much, much bigger than you, and that doesn't happen very often.
How many friends did you make in the Navy that you're still friends with?
Ooh, gosh, there's some that are lifelong. I expect, and some because we've gotten families and we've kind of separated a little bit. But no, there are some that I could call right now, and he could call me, guy in Texas. If he called, I'd be there tomorrow. But that's just that brotherhood that you people talk about. You can't really describe it. It's just there. You grow up with these people, and you get to know everything there is about them, because you spend all your days within 2 feet of the same people for months on end. So you better learn to love them, because if not, it's going to be a brutal existence.
Do you think your worldview changed because of your service? And part two to that, do you think the other people who you were with had their worldview changed? And if the question is confusing, here's an example. Let's say, you've always been, you've got a racist part of you. You grew up thinking that you're white and other people are not, to be trusted or whatever. And then you join the service, and all of a sudden you're around people who are good from every color and every creed and everything, right? Because everybody's in the service. Mm-hmm. So do you think, and that's just one example of worldview, anything could be true. I mean, it could be another nationality or anything. Do you think worldview changes when you join the service?
Yeah, absolutely, because if it doesn't, then you're missing the point. Because you get to see so many different cultures. I think I went to, I forgot count, I think it's over 20 different countries while I was in the Navy. And I lived in another country for 3 years, and that gives you a real taste of what it means to be an American and to have the freedoms that we have. It's really difficult to to be able to understand truly what it means to have freedom of speech or freedom of the press until you go to a country where they can't. They can't talk about it, or they can't say this, or you hear stories about whole families disappearing overnight. That's something that we tend to take for granted in this country, and I think even more so now that we're trying to tell people who, what they should say and what they shouldn't say, and that we should outlaw speech. I can't think of a bigger example than that. And,
no, that's right.
And how people, but the most important thing is how people look to the United States as a symbol of all that is good in the world. Whether we want to own that or not, and whether people want to deny that or not, that's fine. But it's the truth is that the world does. I mean, we saw it recently in Hong Kong. They did it in Venezuela when they were protesting. When I was in China, you saw American flags whenever there was a protest, and they wanted their rights because they hear this, what America is, and it kind of changes them, and they're like, I want that. I want that freedom. So, yeah, I think that's a very, very big deal.
And that would be not something that you could say firsthand if you hadn't been in the service, hadn't been in the Navy, in your case, right?
Well, right. And now everything we see is through somebody else's lens.
Right,
And when you see things firsthand, it really changes it. And whether or not you think we should be in some of these places in the world or not kind of changes. And whether or not they want you there kind of changes. So, when I was in the Philippines, we went from having a military presence there to we were the last ship ever stationed in the Philippines, and we left. And so you see this huge divide within their own country, whether or not we should be there or not. Some people said, okay, it's time for you to go. Thank you very much, but we want to be our own land. We want to have our own country. We want to have our own laws. We don't need the U.S. anymore. And then there are other people. It's like, well, where are you going to go? What's going to happen now?
Right,
I mean,
right.
this was my job, but that's part of what a country has to work through. And as the United States, we have a responsibility to work with them through that. I think we're seeing the same thing now in Europe as to what is our purpose in Europe now. Are we going to continue to have military presence there? Because our tanks that we use are 50 years old, 40 years old. Well, in the next war we have, we're going to eventually have another war. I don't think tanks will be a part of it. So these are the kind of considerations that you think about. And because I've been there, I think it gives me a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're having a conversation about your service with a high school kid, that's going to be something that he or she will take to heart as they are trying to make up their mind about whether to join the service. Do you have do you get a chill when you hear the Navy song?
Anchors Away? No, not really. I get a chill when I see a naval ship steaming at full speed through the water. I get a chill when I see different military symbols, but that's not one. I've had somebody else ask me that because we never played it. I mean, Anchors Away wasn't played like when I was on board. When I hear a bosun's whistle, that'll get me.
Okay.
Things like that. But yeah, never. Anchors Away is a movie song. So,
okay.
And it's used during big events that we just weren't part of. So.
Did you have a radio station on your ship?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
Well, Joe had one on his.
We had the only thing we haven't even close to that is we had Stare at News. And it only did it when my dad was on board the ship.
Oh, no.
For 2 weeks for a Tiger cruise. And I remember that. He's like, hey, I'm going to go read the news. I'm like, what are you talking about? Never seen this thing in my life. And I don't
oh, my gosh.
My dad met people I didn't even know were on that boat.
Wait, that's a cool story. I want to stay there for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you had the facilities on board to have a radio station, but nobody actually operated it?
Oh, not that I'm aware of. I never heard of it. And I was on that boat for 4 years.
And I
had never heard of.
And your father?
Like us having. I'm like, I remember my dad's like, yeah, they want me to do this. I'm like, do what? Like, they want me to read the news. I'm like, what? Where's this at?
Wait a minute.
And
so how did you hear it? Was it over the loudspeaker, or did you actually have to have a radio?
They have closed circuit TV. I didn't know that. I knew they had that because you would get 2 channels. It was either really like 2-week-old news or really old sitcoms. And it didn't come from space or anything, right? It wasn't or satellite. It was literally on a VCR.
Okay.
That somebody would plug in somewhere, and so it would be like, I've seen this 16 times. When we went out to sea, we were out at sea by ourselves for a month.
How did your dad
end up? We
didn't
see another ship or anything for a month.
So your dad was on your ship for 2 weeks?
Yeah, because they do something called a Tiger cruise. So we sailed from Hawaii to San Diego. I think it was more like 10 days. But we sailed from Hawaii to San Diego, and what they allow to do is, back then it was just you had to be a male, and so you're allowed to have one male family member sail back from Honolulu, from Pearl Harbor into San Diego, and my dad flew out there and got on the boat.
Oh, wow.
Sailed back with us.
How cool.
That is a cool story. So he gets on the boat, and there's a lot of other family members, I'm guessing, from the other sailors, correct?
Yeah, they're probably about 60, 65 other people.
So your dad does what? Says, oh, by the way, I do radio?
No idea. No idea. Because my dad was he was always curious, and so he realized really quickly that hanging out with me was boring because, I did the same thing every day, right? I mean, because when I go to watch, I eat.
That's cool.
I clean something, and I go to bed, and then you do the whole thing over and over again. And so he would just start walking around, and I remember because I always liked night watch. There was the mid watch, right? So you go on watch at 4. And you're on till midnight. To me, that was always my favorite watch because you got to see the sunset and the stars and all that. Wow. It was the most relaxing time on the boat. And I said, "Hey, you gonna come stay and watch with me?" He goes, "No, I got to do the news." I'm like, "What news? What are you talking about?"
Oh, I love that.
And the next day, right? I really thought he was kidding. The next day, I'm at Chow, right? I'm eating breakfast. People come up, I'm like, "Hey, your dad's good on the news." I'm like, "What news?" And so,
oh my gosh,
he did it so cool. Every night we were on board.
Oh, that gives me chills.
And the captain, who I had a great relationship with my captain. He said, "Man, why don't you read the news, Galen?" I said, "What, Captain? I've never heard of this." He goes, "Well, we never did it because we didn't think we had anybody who could read." So that was the joke.
Oh,
so,
no!
It was fun. That was fun.
So where did
he loved it?
Where did he get his?
He loved that.
Where did he get the news from?
We had a wire service.
Oh, you did.
So you would get a wire service in the radio room.
Okay.
And and that just like you get the news, like the AP.
Right.
They had a machine in there.
Okay.
And so once in a while, that was part of our department. I would go in there and just check the scores. Oh. But you get so out of touch with it, you don't care.
So, so you heard him on a TV. You had was his visual there? Did they have a camera on him?
Yeah. There was a camera. It was borderline what you would have used with a hostage video. But yeah, he did it. Yeah, he loved it.
That is a great story.
I mean, he talked about that all the time.
How special.
He would tell things. I'm like, when did this happen? What are you what?
So was everybody tuning into him? Was everybody going, "Oh my gosh, time for the news"? And everybody went.
I guess so. Well, if you weren't on watch, but literally, you have to understand when you're on a boat, there is no entertainment, right? I mean, there's zero entertainment. You read, or somebody brings a VHS tape, right?
Right.
And you've seen everybody's VHS tapes. There is a VHS, the tape that you haven't seen. And so if there was something new and it was talking about what was going on in the world, you're going to watch it.
Wow.
That is, I love that story.
That's pretty much it.
That's an amazing story. I hope you share that with your kids.
I think my dad, well, he I don't think they'll remember him telling them, but he's talked about it all the time. Yeah, I was more important on that boat than my son. Probably true.
Oh, that's too funny.
So.
And I love the fact you call it a boat because I'm always corrected saying it's not a boat, it's a ship.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, he can.
If you sail on it, it's your boat.
Yeah.
That's my boat.
That is a wonderful, wonderful story, Galen. You should
really
put
is.
that in one of those veteran archives because it is fabulous.
That's a wonderful. Robin's right. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you couldn't have given us a better Veterans Day story.
No.
Thank you for sharing that, Galen. I guess we got to get to business. I hope you're feeling well. How's the blood supply? Where's the bloodmobile?
We're right out of 4-day blood supply. We need negs, so please donate. We need platelet donors as well. And the bloodmobile today is actually going to be at the VA at the Veterans event. Right there at the Veterans Park. So come by and see us and get the life and donate blood.
And on your marquee there on East Silver Springs Boulevard and Northeast 16th Avenue, you are looking for technicians. So it's really, really nice how you put that out there.
Yep, always are.
All right. Well, thank you again for everything you do. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Palm Garden and Penn Flooring, for sponsoring Galen's Daily Reminder that without donors, there is no blood supply. Take a tour at Palm Garden at 2700 Southwest 34th Street and visit Penn Flooring at 1201 Southwest 17th Street. You'll be able to see how you can make your home or office more beautiful from the floor up. Enjoy your day, Galen. Get well, and thank you again for Friday Night Football. It's outstanding, and that was such a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for your service, Galen. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll be right back. Thank you, Galen.
Did you call Mike Scott Plumbing about the irrigation?
No, but did you know a crocodile can't stick its tongue out? Or that Humpty Dumpty rhyme never actually says he's an egg? Or that Chuck Norris counted to infinity? Twice.
Where the hell do you come up with these facts? And what's that have to do with the lawn?
Nothing really, just hoping you'd forget what you told me to do.
Well, here's a fact. Just like an elephant, I never forget. And here's another fun fact for you. If my plants die because you didn't call Mike Scott Plumbing to come over and install an irrigation system, you're going to be the one out there all night with a hose.
Well, as a matter of fact, I think I'll call Mike Scott Plumbing right now.
Now that's a fact.
237-2888.
Yes, 237-2888. Because if...
I know. If water runs through it, they do it. Did you know honeybees have 5 eyes?
Oh, brother, you're going to do this all night now, aren't you?
Or that a strawberry is not actually a berry, but a banana is? Or that Chuck Norris killed 2 stones with 1 bird? Or that polar bears are left-handed? Or that...
Here is your 1-minute news brief. Today is Veterans Day. A Veterans Day celebration will take place from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Ocala Marion County Veterans Memorial Park. Also in Gainesville, the 15th annual musical Salute Veterans Day concert will be held at the Phillips Center for the Performing Arts from 7 till 9 tonight. Also, Silver Springs State Park is offering free admission all day. The Lake County Sheriff's Office's ability to execute immigration warrants will only be used in the jail for the purpose of ICE detainment. A Nevada man has been sentenced in South Florida to 120 days of home confinement and ordered to pay a $7,000 fine for trafficking an endangered Galapagos tortoise. A Collier County man has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for a fatal drunken driving crash. And a Florida man is awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty to threatening to blow up government offices across North Florida. To our veterans, from all of us here at WOCA, thank you for your service. We stand and salute you. And that is your news brief from the source.
Partly sunny and warm on this Monday, Veterans Day. There can be a shower in spots along the coast this morning, the high 80 to 84. Then partly cloudy Monday night, maybe a shower along the coast, low 60, inland 66 along the coast. For Tuesday, a nice day with clouds and sunshine, still warm, high 80 to 84. Wednesday, breezy and cooler with clouds and some intervals of sun. There can be a shower or 2 along the coast, the high just 62 to 72. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 25 minutes before 9 o'clock, it's time for News Bites. This is the portion of AM Ocala Live when Robin and I read the news from the different news sources that we have access to. In this day and age, you have the same access that we do. I can't think of an exception to that, except for maybe the Florida News Network. But almost everything we read today will be something you can view yourself or read for yourself online. We don't read the whole thing, though, so you might want to take note of where we're getting these stories from, just in case you want to know the rest of the story. Our mission for the next 25 minutes is to read a paragraph or two to give you the gist of the story. We do not attempt to analyze. We don't offer our opinion. If we disagree with the way a story is written, maybe it's trying to persuade us to lean one way or the other. If we pick up on that, we will not mention that we either disagree or agree with it. We also don't try to be entertaining in any way. We do get stories from all over the news, so some of them are entertaining in and of themselves. You might hear us chuckle, but otherwise we're not trying to be entertaining. Your radio becomes your best tool for catching up on the news right now, and you'll hear between 25 and 30 stories, and then you can get on with your own life and live your own news. The first story is from the Associated Press. President Donald Trump's former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, alleges former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and White House Chief of Staff General John Kelly were actively working to subvert the president. In a statement in her book, soon to be released, called With All Due Respect, she writes, Kelly and Tillerson confided in me that when they resisted the president, they weren't being insubordinate, they were trying to save the country, unquote. She went on to say, Tillerson went on to tell me the reason he resisted the president's decisions was because if he didn't, people would die. She added, saying the work against the president was taking a dangerous path. Haley describes the meeting with Tillerson and Kelly, both of whom had differed with Trump on pulling out of the Paris Climate Accords and other decisions. Haley wrote that Tillerson and Kelly believed they were trying to save the country, but she remembers thinking they were only trying to impose their own beliefs.
A woman is accused of trying to drown and bury a cat in Edgewater, Florida. A city employee said they witnessed the alleged animal cruelty. They called police after they said they saw Amanda Goodwin submerging a cat's head in water repeatedly.